Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're taking your source material on the inner critic today and really boiling it down into the insights you can actually use. And I wanted to start with this idea, paraphrased from Fred Rogers, which I think just hits the nail on the head here. The three ways to ultimate success are be kind, be kind, be kind.
Yeah, and it's that third be kind, the one pointed inward, that trips up so many, really capable people. So our mission today is to get a handle on the function of that inner critic. Why is it there? And then map out a path toward what we're calling excellence, the healthy, realistic way to achieve things, instead of getting stuck in perfectionism. Because the research really shows that, the critical difference is self-criticism.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What does this self-criticism actually sound like in someone's head? The sources give us this story about Adam. He's in a coding boot camp, hits a wall, and goes on one of his frustration walks. And he finds himself just standing there, totally zoned out in the junior dresses section at Macy's, just stuck.
And internally,
he's just tearing himself down, thinking he has stupidity, feeling that urge to just quit, like he'd done before with jobs.
Right. Adam's experience, it's a textbook example of what the sources call the three primary colors of perfectionistic self-criticism. These are the things that twist normal self-reflection into something really painful.
Okay, color one is harshness. This isn't just saying, oops, made a mistake. It's like actively shaming yourself, right? Using insults.
What's my problem? Stupidity. It's trying to whip yourself into shape with verbal abuse, essentially.
Then the second is the all or nothing approach.
Yeah.
Adam thinking, I'm not getting this, it's never going to change.
Yeah, that zero tolerance thing.
Yeah.
One mistake, one awkward moment, and suddenly everything is ruined. The whole project, the whole relationship. It makes it impossible to even start sometimes, because if it can't be perfect, well, what's the point?
And the third one, which feels like the deepest cut, is personal implication. It's not about the code being hard. It's something is wrong with me. The problem isn't the task, it's my fundamental identity.
Precisely. It shifts from circumstance to character, and that leads us straight into the big question, the paradox. If this self-criticism feels so awful, if it makes people like Adam quit things, why do we cling to it? It must be doing something for us, or we just drop it.
Yeah, that's the real puzzle.
Yeah.
Why keep doing something so painful? Dr. Raymond Bergner apparently outlines 6 reasons, 6 perceived payoffs. What's the biggest one you see?
Oh, it's probably the idea that it helps us facilitate self-improvement. That tough love idea, the belief that if you really hammer yourself for a mistake, you definitely won't make it again.
But that doesn't actually work that well, does it? Like the pianist only focusing on the wrong notes.
Exactly. It's incredibly inefficient and it just makes you feel terrible. It kills motivation.
Okay, what else? Some people use it to keep their egos in check, right? Like they're afraid of becoming arrogant.
They confuse being modest or humble with basically mistreating themselves, as if the only alternative to self-criticism is becoming a toxic, entitled narcissist.
Or using it defensively to avoid others' criticism. Like, I'll criticize myself first, then you can't hurt me.
Yeah, beat them to the punch. And closely related is making others expect less. Self-handicapping, you kind of signal, I'm probably not going to do well, so that if you do fail, it doesn't look like this huge, surprising flop.
And the fifth one, this one feels heavy. Using it to gain a feeling of control. Because if it's my fault, then I'm somehow in charge, even if I feel bad. That's better than feeling helpless.
That's exactly it. It feels less scary to be the pilot who made a mistake than a passenger with absolutely no control over the crash. That need for control is huge.
Wow. It actually makes a kind of terrible sense now why we'd hold on to self-blame. But the cost? Think about that Uncle Chen story, the marathon runner who chain smokes. He thinks the cigarettes help him, and maybe they distract him or something, but they're stealing all the credit from his actual fitness, his training.
Right. And self-criticism does the same thing. It takes credit for any success you might have had through your actual effort and skill, and just leaves you feeling drained and inadequate.
So how do we break that link? How do we put in the effort without the shame? That brings us to the first strategy, right? Shifting from evaluation to information.
Yes. Moving away from judging yourself and towards just gathering data.
And the example here is fantastic. Coach John Wooden at UCLA. He gets this amazing freshman team, including Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then Louis Alcindor. And the very first lesson isn't some complex drill. It's how to put on socks and sneakers correctly.
Tug and snug seems so minor, right?
Totally. But his logic was wrinkles cause blisters. Blisters mean players sit out. Sitting out means losing games. It was all about preventing problems at the source.
And when researchers like Gallimore and Tharp studied him, they found his magic wasn't rah-rah speeches or harsh critiques.
What was it then?
75% of his comments were purely instructional, just information about the task. One of his players, Swen Nader, said later, "It was the information that promoted change. Had it been positive or negative, I would have been left with an evaluation, not a solution."
That's the whole thing right there. Evaluation. I suck. It's personal, permanent feeling. Instructional self-talk. Okay, I need to break this problem down, or maybe try using a timer for this part. It's external, specific, fixable.
And that's how Adam started to shift. Instead of, "What's wrong with me?" it became, "Okay, what's the next tiny step for this code?" It takes the personal sting out of it.
Which leads right into the next strategies, involving self-compassion.
Right. Dr. Kristen Neff's work. Self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook, necessarily. It's about having warmth and understanding when you mess up or feel bad. It's got 3 parts. Kindness towards yourself, mindful awareness without judgment, and seeing suffering as, well, just part of being human, not some unique failure.
Okay, but that sounds really hard for perfectionists. It feels like our brains are wired backwards for all 3 of those things. We're tough, we find faults, and we feel uniquely alone in our struggles. We even do that thing where we find the but in every success. Yeah, I got the job, but I bet they had other candidates who were better. Why is accepting kindness so tough?
Because the inner critic screams that kindness equals weakness, that it leads to complacency. If I'm nice to myself, I'll just stop trying.
So we need ways to sneak it in, tactical self-compassion.
Exactly. Things the guarded brain might actually allow. First step is validation. This isn't saying the feeling or thought is right or justified, just that it's understandable. Okay, it makes sense I feel overwhelmed right now, or given how tired I am, it makes sense I want comfort food.
Ah, so you're not agreeing with the criticism, just acknowledging the feeling itself makes sense in the context.
Precisely. It creates a little space. And you don't need flowery speeches. Simple words and gestures work. Short phrases, easy does it, this is tough, it's okay. Or even just a physical gesture, like putting a hand over your heart. Touch can sometimes bypass the noisy brain.
And the third tactical approach.
Actions and permission. You act compassionately even if you don't feel it. Maybe it's carving out 5 minutes for coffee or making sure you get some exercise. But maybe even more powerful is permission not to do things. Permission to rest. Permission to say no. Permission to admit your standards are maybe impossible right now.
That idea of permission feels linked to the next thing. Cognitive diffusion, or playing with thoughts.
Yeah.
Like Julie, who had that "I'm doing it wrong" thought constantly. The goal isn't to erase the thought, which is impossible, but to see it differently. Less like a command, more like, I don't know, mental background noise.
Exactly. You stop fusing with the thought, stop treating it as absolute truth, and playing is a great way to do that. Julie imagined her critical thought, "I'm doing it wrong," written in like bright blue Comic Sans font, size 48, made it look absurd.
Okay.
Or you could, sing the thought to the happy birthday tune in your head, or imagine the critical voice coming from a cartoon character. It just creates distance and perspective. It shows you have influence over how you relate to the thought.
Which ties into the fourth strategy, accounting for your brain. I love the BB gun story here. 8-year-old Jesse's BB gun shoots high and right. He doesn't freak out that the gun is bad. He just aims a bit low and left. He adjusts for the gun's tendency.
That's functional contextualism in action, basically understanding behavior in context. Our perfectionistic brains aren't broken. They're trying to do good things for us, like keep us safe or help us perform. But because of our wiring, genetics, upbringing, whatever, they tend to shoot a little to the side, generating that self-judgment automatically.
Like a heartbeat. You can't just stop it.
Right, you can't stop the thoughts from popping up, but you can control your actions in response to them.
So it's less about getting the thought right, this project was perfect,
Yeah,
and more about choosing the action that aligns with your values.
exactly. Focus on the direction, your values, like heading east, wanting to be curious or connected, rather than a specific, perfect destination like Boston or 0 mistakes.
Like Julie again. Her brain yells, "I am such an idiot," when she forgets her friend's allergy.
Instead of getting sucked into that script, she notices it, there's that thought pattern again, and then chooses her action based on her value of connection. She calls her friend, apologizes sincerely, connects. She aims low and left.
Okay, that covers the inner critic. But what about when the criticism feels like it's coming from outside? Let's talk about the outer critics.
Right, there are 2 main types here. First is other-oriented perfectionism. This is when we hold other people to impossibly high standards and get critical when they inevitably fall short.
Like the Steve Jobs examples, yelling at his niece or criticizing an assistant's suit, that feels harsh.
It often is. It's sometimes called the dark side of perfectionism. It can come from high self-regard combined with low regard or empathy for others. The implicit message is often about control.
And it hides behind just trying to help or giving feedback.
That's the plausible deniability. The surface reason is helpfulness, but the underlying function is often criticism or control. You're not doing it right, or I don't trust you.
So if you catch yourself doing that, being the external critic, what's the move?
Self-inquiry. You have to be willing to look at your own edge. That uncomfortable feeling underneath, maybe it's superiority, maybe it's insecurity, maybe it's a desperate need for control. Naming that to yourself allows you to shift from controlling others to connecting, maybe by even sharing your own vulnerability instead of just pointing out theirs.
Okay, then the other side of the coin is socially prescribed perfectionism. This isn't me criticizing others, it's me believing others are going to criticize me harshly if I mess up. Like Bruno Mars worrying about his mom's standards for Uptown Funk. It's the fear of judgment from the outside.
Exactly. It's driven by this deep fear of social devaluation, of being rejected or seen as inadequate by the group. And research actually backs this up. Studies show that shame gets triggered powerfully by feeling devalued by others, even if you did everything right. Just the threat of criticism is enough.
And that leads straight into people-pleasing, doesn't it? As a way to manage that fear.
Absolutely. People-pleasing is a safety behavior. It's all about trying to control how others see you and react to you to avoid that potential criticism or rejection. Think of Lizette, afraid to tell her housemates she was moving. She hinted and avoided, trying to keep everyone happy, but it just made things worse.
But always trying to please everyone means you kind of erase yourself.
Right.
You become selfless.
You do. You lose touch with your own wants and needs because you're constantly scanning the room for what others want. Your sense of self gets shaky, and when you start to push back, start saying, me too, setting boundaries, well, you might get resistance. People might say, you've changed.
Because the old system worked well for them.
Of course. So the real shift isn't about getting better at controlling others' reactions.
It's about trusting yourself.
Trusting that you can handle their disapproval. Trusting that you can cope with change or awkwardness, rather than trusting that you can somehow magically keep everyone happy all the time. It's a shift from external control to internal resilience.
Okay, let's bring it back to Adam, our coder who ended up in the dress department. His final update is pretty hopeful, right? He still struggles sometimes, that inner critic still pipes up. But he's using the constructive self-talk, the self-kindness tools. He hasn't had one of those full meltdown frustration walks. Instead, when he feels that pressure building, he changes his action. He goes, grabs a coffee, chats with coworkers about hockey. He's not eliminating the critic, but changing his relationship with it.
And that changed response is absolutely key. Remember Eunice? Her breakthrough wasn't that her difficult feelings or urges magically disappeared. Her mobility didn't even change much, but her life felt radically better because she changed how she responded to those things with validation and kindness instead of judgment and shame. The response made all the difference.
So the final thought for you listening, if you can start to accept that maybe this self-criticism is just your brain's, slightly miscalibrated attempt to keep you safe, it's factory setting. How might you use that knowledge?
Where's one small place today you could adjust your aim? Aim a few inches toward what you actually value using information, not evaluation, even when that old critical script starts playing automatically.